Busch Gardens Tampa is Florida's best theme park for thrills. With the opening of Iron Gwazi, this park now features 10 different roller coasters across 335 acres. But the park is about so much more than just rides. It also features an extensive collection of animals rivaling most zoos, and Busch Gardens Tampa may be the best hybrid amusement park and zoo in the world. Find out everything you need to know in this review. Anheuser-Busch built a new brewery in Tampa back in 1959, and it was accompanied by a free botanical garden. In the mid-1960s, the park added the Serengeti Plains section. This became the largest free-roaming habitat outside of Africa. It opened with 29 acres and now spans 70. This is still a massive component of the park. Busch Gardens started to morph into the amusement park we know today in the 1970s. Gated admission was added to fund future expansions, and the park started adding traditional amusement rides, eventually growing into Florida's premier roller coaster park. But Busch Gardens never lost their focus on animal exhibits and landscaping. There are animal encounters in all corners of the park, and the entire park is beautiful between the tropical landscaping and the themed areas. It is one of the most beautiful theme parks in the world. It's especially remarkable given the park's location. Busch Gardens Tampa is landlocked by a city block. The park's boundaries have very little distance from the outside world, but you are fully immersed in Africa while inside the park. Speaking of location, Busch Gardens Tampa is roughly 1 to 1.5 hours from all the other major parks in Orlando. If you don't have a car, Mears Shuttle offers a free shuttle service between Orlando and Busch Gardens Tampa as long as you have an annual pass or an admission ticket. The shuttle has a few different pickup locations, and it typically gets you to the park 30 to 60 minutes after opening. Then it often leaves just before closing. I've used this service in the past, and it was a great way to save money if you don't want to buy a rental car. If you arrive by car, Busch Gardens Tampa costs $30 per vehicle. Most spots are across the street. If you pay $5 more for preferred parking, or you have a Platinum Pass, you can park on the same side of the street by Montu. Daily admission can cost under $100 without any discounts. You can often find discounts or combo tickets though, but I've always visited with an annual pass. If you want a Platinum Pass good for all the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens parks, consider where you purchase it. Busch Gardens Tampa is one of the most expensive ones, costing nearly $400. Compare that to SeaWorld San Antonio, that is roughly half the cost. And others like SeaWorld San Diego and Sesame Place can save you over $100. There are some benefits specific to your home park, such as the one-time quick queues and other experiences, so you just need to weigh if that's worth the added upfront cost. Now let's talk about the ride lineup. This park is the best coaster lineup in Florida, and one of the most well-rounded lineups in the entire industry. It covers all genres of coaster from kiddie, to family, to thrill. And the coasters in each tier are some of the best of the bunch. For many years, the only gap in this park's coaster lineup was an airtime machine. That was rectified with the park's newest and best roller coaster in Iron Gwazi. This Rocky Mountain construction conversion of the former Gwazi wood coaster was delayed nearly 2 years due to the pandemic, but it was well worth the wait. Iron Gwazi is relentless. This coaster's incredible ejector airtime. You have the massive beyond vertical drop, the gigantic Outer Bank turn, the high-speed wave turn over the station, plus a series of strong hills in the second half. Then you also have one of the craziest inversions in the world with the death roll. Getting whip, laterals, and sustained ejector airtime simultaneously is sublime. Then this coaster has impeccable pacing, surreal speed, and surprising positive Gs to complement the usual RMC goodness. I have a separate review going into more detail, but this ride alone is worth the cost of admission. The park is also home to a trio of B&Ms. Shikro is America's first dive machine. The ride features 2 vertical drops with some great floater airtime. There isn't much else to the ride, but those 2 drops carry the experience, and it's a visually stunning off-ride. Kumbo is the chain's first B&M, and the sit-down looper is still one of the best. This coaster is unrelenting. All 7 inversions deliver crushing positive Gs and or extreme whip. It's an endurance test in the best way possible. And the ride is also well integrated into the park by zooming past trees and over pathways. I have a separate review going into more detail, but this is a must for inversion lovers. And then you have Montu, which I think is an inverted and better version of Kumba. This coaster also features 7 marvelous inversions. They're similarly intense, with the super snappy Batwing being the highlight. This coaster is also glossy smooth, so it's super rideable despite all that force. And the visuals are incredible because many inversions dive deep into Egyptian-themed trenches. This is America's best inverted coaster, and I have its own review explaining why. Tigris is another intense one. The compact layout features 3 OK launches, some intense ejector airtime, and a super slow barrel roll high above the ground. These Premier Rides Skyrocket 2 clones are one ride I don't mind seeing at many parks. Cheetah Hunt is arguably the most popular coaster in the park, and it's not hard to see why. This intimate multi-launch coaster is a sprawling layout going over pathways, past rockwork, and through animal exhibits. And beyond these visuals, you have a diverse layout. You have some decent launches, and then you also have airtime hills and a Heartline roll loaded with hang time. This may not be the most intense coaster in the world, but it's just pure fun as I speak to in its own review. Scorpion is the perfect first inverted coaster for kids. It has just one loop and has a low 42-inch height requirement. This Schwarzkopf has some forceful helixes plus a good loop, but its smoothness and moderate height make it approachable for all. Cobra's Curse is a weird mock spinning coaster. This is arguably the park's best themed coaster with the projection mapping in the queue line, plus the giant snake after the lift. The ride has 3 distinct parts. The first third goes forwards, offering decent Gs. The second third is a slow, but entirely backwards bit. Then the final third allows the vehicles to spin freely, which is disorienting with all those horseshoe turns. The most forgettable coaster in the lineup is Sand Serpent, which is an off-the-shelf mock Wild Mouse. The first half is the usually good laterals, but the second half is heavily braked. Lastly, there's Air Grover, an admittedly good Zier Jr. coaster comfortable for both kids and adults. And the helixes have a little bit of force to them too, which is a nice surprise for a ride of its scale. On that note, this park has a few clusters of kiddie rides. The most notable is the Sesame Street Safari of Fun. This area has been rethemed a few times, but it's a colorful place with a water pad and a giant treehouse for kids to burn off energy. Then there are some smaller rides exclusive to kids as well. Jungala is another sizable area, but it has looked abandoned in my recent visits. There are a few other kiddie sections over by Iron Gwazi and Pantopia, but they're much smaller than the aforementioned Sesame Street area. Flat rides for adults are extremely limited. There never have been many at this park to begin with, and one of the bigger ones in Phoenix, which is the Intamin Looping Starship, has been closed for years. The one that you cannot miss is Falcon's Fury. This 335-foot or 102-meter tall drop tower was the prototype Intamin sky jump. Not only did this ride open as the world's tallest freestanding drop tower, but it also features seats that tilt 90 degrees. This results in one of the most frightening visuals of any attraction, and it's a unique sensation on the drop as you plunge towards the asphalt. The drop isn't as forceful as others, but it's still quite floaty. Florida gets extremely hot and humid, so the park fittingly features 2 water rides. Stanley Falls is an average aero log flume with a lengthy layout and a final splash that can soak those up front. The wetter of the 2 water rides is Congo River Rapids, a well-landscaped Intamin Rapids ride. Most of the rapids are on the mild side, but there is one super soaking one. And then there are some extra sprayers and geysers along the way. If that's not enough, there is the adjacent Adventure Island water park. It is a separate gate, and I've never visited there, but I've heard good things about the park. Busch Gardens also has some safari rides. Both the Sky Ride and the Serengeti Express offer amazing views of the Serengeti plain animals. The park also used to have Rhino Rally, but was removed due to technical issues. There also is the Serengeti Safari upcharge that'll run you $40 to $70 per visitor. This 30-minute off-road adventure offers some of the best views of the park's most popular animals, and it even allows guests to hand-feed giraffes. My favorite animal experience in the park, though, is Cheetah Run. This takes place 1 or 2 times a day. The park has one of their cheetahs chase a toy down a track, and it is surreal seeing an animal hit speeds like that rivaling that of a roller coaster. Then the park's midways bring you close to several other notable animals. There's always an animal encounter around the corner. My favorite section is the edge of Africa with the massive mammals like lions and hyenas. But you also have some unexpected animals here like penguins. The park is a must for animal lovers. There is a major gap in the park's lineup though, the lack of a dark ride. This is an issue at all the SeaWorld parks, but it's even more noticeable here given the hot climate and frequency of afternoon thunderstorms. The park used to have a simulator and a recurring 4D show, but both were removed over the past decade. Now let's talk about the wait times. Busch Gardens Tampa is open 365 days a year. I try to avoid visiting in the summer, both from a weather and crowd perspective. If you can avoid weekends, crowds are usually manageable here. But if crowds are heavy, you can purchase a quick queue skip the line pass that'll run you anywhere from $20 to $200 depending when you buy it and what the park's expected attendance is. Dispatches at Busch Gardens Tampa are usually pretty good. Rides will often run at max capacity in the peak months, but they can be running at reduced capacities in quieter days due to staffing or maintenance. Prior to visiting, I recommend checking the park's refurbishment calendar. It is rare to see a major coaster closed in the summer, but in the winter months, rides may be closed for a month at a time, particularly Kumba. When planning how to tour this park, an important thing to know is that this park often has staggered openings. The coasters towards the front open with the park, but rides towards the back open later. Falcon's Fury and Tigris often don't open until a half hour after the park. Then Kumba and Scorpion tend to open an hour late. This park can be done in a day, but I like to have two so I have plenty of time for re-rides. Most people will tour this park in a loop. Whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise next depends on your priorities. If you care about riding every single coaster as quickly as possible, I would go counterclockwise. If the water rides are a priority, I would go clockwise. The rides towards the end of these loops will probably have lines by the time you reach them. If you arrive at opening, the most important thing to do is either to start with Iron Gwazi or Cheetah Hunt. I prefer to start with Cheetah Hunt. Most days, this coaster's line will hover around the 45 to 60 minute mark. I would then hit Cobra's Curse. It's nearby and often gets one of the longest lines, and it also doesn't have the highest capacity. While Iron Gwazi is still in previews as of this recording, I suspect it'll have one of the longest lines most days. However, because it's currently a one-time only and pricey upcharge and quick queue, I suspect its standby line may be less than Cheetah Hunt and Cobra's Curse, but we'll see what happens. Some other rides that are smart to hit early are Sand Serpent and Tigris due to their low capacities. And then the water rides are worth riding early and hot days if they're a priority for you. The B&Ms usually have fast-moving and manageable lines. Kumba in particular is usually a walk-on because of its location. If the park is open past sunset, the park has several notable night rides. Iron Gwazi is really cool with how it's lit up, and it does get faster throughout the day, albeit slightly. Kumba and Montu are extra sweet given their forces and placement. And then Cheetah Hunt's setting is particularly special at night. I recommend hopping in line for this coaster just before closing. Last but not least, I want to talk about the park's food. I've only been to 2 restaurants here, but because they're so amazing, I haven't tried anywhere else. Twisted Tails pretzels makes my favorite snack of any theme park. The pretzels, when hot and fresh, are doughy, buttery, and amazing. Unfortunately, they no longer offer the bacon wrap version, but the standard ones are still delicious. Zambia Smokehouse is the go-to place for meals. The brisket is mouth-watering and juicy. So do I recommend Busch Gardens Tampa? Absolutely. This is one of the best theme parks in the world. Iron Gwazi took an already strong coaster lineup and made it truly special. You have that incredible atmosphere as well between the theming, foliage, and friendly staff. And the animal encounters give the park an advantage over comparable theme parks. This park really is something for everyone. So those are my thoughts on Busch Gardens Tampa. This is an essential part of any Florida trip now. What are your thoughts on this Florida theme park? Do you think it's the state's best thrill park? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.